Happy Friday! Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabbar here with Jared Smith. Jared, it is Frisky Friday. We're feeling good, and we got divisional matchups tomorrow. How pumped are you?
Yeah, Frisky Friday's putting it lightly. You should have heard us just before we hopped on air here. We were frisky, getting ready for a big weekend. So historically, traditionally, this is my favorite weekend of the football season.
Yeah.
I think the quality of play is like exactly on par with what we're going to see next weekend. I think all 8 teams are – I can make a case for all 8 of them to win. And we get twice as many games as we get next week. So it's like double the action, but I think it's going to be just as good. I don't think we're going to be disappointed come Monday morning. This is a really exciting weekend. And there's a lot going on this weekend too. Not just the NFL. Whole lot on the table.
Totally. We have a whole lot going on today, too. I mean, as of itself, we have 2 guests coming on, both Teddy Greenstein and Ross Tucker, to talk about the NFL divisional matchups. It's going to be really, really exciting. We have our hoops predictions. We're kicking off the show. And speaking of kicking, we got some Jared's kick picks, taking it across the pond to the EPL. You're doing pretty well with your kick picks recently.
Yo, Wednesday was a day.
Yeah.
Wednesday was we'll get into it a little later, but it was one of the most exciting, thrilling days of my soccer betting career. We'll recap in a bit.
Yeah, we have to recap it because we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We can't get ahead of ourselves now.
No.
And then we can't end without our best bets of the day and our 3-star play of the day from the Pickswise.com website. So let's get right into it. Let's start with some hoops picks before we bring in Teddy and Ross. So there's a Big Ten basketball matchup. A Big Ten basketball, big matchup.
Yeah, a Big Ten. I like that.
Taking on Wisconsin. Wisconsin won the last 2 matches against Sparty. Before that, the Spartans have won 8 straight. I'm really looking forward to this game, Jared. Are you on it at all, or how do you kind of see it when you break it down?
I'm not.
I know how I'm
Michigan State's tough. Like I think they're at the time in their season where they start to really show you how good they are, but they're coming off of kind of a fluky loss last Saturday to Northwestern. Lost by 2 at home to Northwestern, who is better this year, but still, I don't think anyone expected them to hop into Sparty land and pull off the upset at the Brez. And now they go to Madison, and listen, Greg Gart's team is hot. 8 in a row, coming off a nice win over Northwestern. They beat Ohio State last week, wins over Maryland on the road, Purdue on the road. That was a big game. I know Purdue's tough game last night against Indiana, but Purdue's still a really good team. I think Wisconsin's super streaky, which makes them a really tough team to bet on. But man, are they balanced, top 40 offensive, defensive efficiency. I think Sparty. I think Sparty's going to be up against it tonight. So I would say Wisconsin wins the game, but the spread's probably spot on at 3.5. Yeah. And that's probably where you'll be sweating that one out late with Tom Izzo's bunch.
I bet it last night. I bet Michigan State in the points plus 3.5 right now. I just look at like you talked about it though, the streakiness. Wisconsin's on a 7-game winning streak. They did beat Northwestern. That was their most recent win. Now they're tied for first in the conference with Illinois. Michigan State coming off of that loss. They snapped a 9-game win streak with that one. I think they've been stewing for a few days after that loss because that was this past Saturday. I like, and you said Wisconsin's balance. I also think Michigan State's balance. I mean, you look at Gabe Brown, Max Christie, Malik Hall, Marcus Bingham Jr. Like, they're a very, very balanced team. I think the thing that beat them against Northwestern was their turnovers. They had 17 turnovers against Northwestern. When you're giving up the ball that many times, I mean, you're not going to win too many games, especially if the teams can capitalize on your mistakes. They need to protect the ball in this game. And I think if they're able to do that, their offense will be able to keep up with Wisconsin. I know, at the same time, Wisconsin's averaging 72, 73-ish points per game, which is a lot in college basketball. They're also number 1 in fewest turnovers. They have 8.2 turnovers per game. So Michigan State's really going to need to put the pressure on Wisconsin, especially on the defensive side, to be able to beat a team like Wisconsin. I was also reading an article Tom Izzo said about his team. He said, I think they're just reading their press clippings about themselves and thinking they're better than they are. He said him and his coaching staff didn't do a good enough job making sure that didn't happen. But I just see this as a really good bounce back spot for them against Wisconsin, even though they're playing on the road. I think Tom Izzo is going to whip this team into shape, and they might not win, but I like getting the 3.5 in this.
Yeah, spot. These games are always tight. The one thing I will say say, and we talk about the turnover percentages a lot, non-steal turnover percentage. Wisconsin does have a pretty big edge there, and Michigan State does struggle with turnovers.
Yeah,
They're
17
on the
against Northwestern. That's a lot of turnovers.
It is a lot. And a lot of times the numbers don't always tell the story. Like I could definitely see Michigan State focusing on that this week and cleaning that up. So it doesn't always carry over from one game to the next. But non-steal turnover percentage, you're going to hear me use that one a lot as we get into the March Madness days. But this is about the time when Izzo starts to flip that switch. So
totally. I know. Izzo's such a great coach. I'm excited to see what happens in that game tonight. You're talking about another Big Ten team, though, that you're leaning towards. Maryland, huh?
Yeah, this one's tough. And I usually don't like betting Maryland because I just don't like them as a team. I think they're kind of I think they're a little weak between the years sometimes. Danny Manning hasn't done the best job this year. But this is an interesting spot against Illinois tonight. So when you look at this Illinois team, all of a sudden they got healthy. They played that double overtime game against Purdue. They had Kofi Coburn back. They looked really good. Purdue couldn't put them away until double overtime. And now we're hearing Coburn. The news actually broke right before we came on the show that he has a concussion and he's out tonight. And this line went from 6.5 to 4.5, like that.
Wow.
I probably wouldn't bet it at 4.5. I think actually it's 3.5 now, which kind of, I'm seeing 3.5 on DraftKings. So I'll be honest, I am on Maryland plus 6.5. I was very quick to the trigger there. I will likely come back on Illinois -3 at some point today. And I hope for a tight game because you know me, I like to play the middles. I like to play the arbitrage. I like to play risk-free when I can. And I just now it's too tight. The line's too tight now. I wouldn't bet Maryland at 3.5, but I do think at 6.5 it was a strong bet. Hopefully some of you out there saw that Coburn news and jumped to it. The other game I do want to mention tonight is Bonnie's.
The Bonnies.
So listen, they're like my favorite, least favorite team. I don't know. Have you ever been to Ole in New York?
I can honestly say no.
You're
I have not. Have you?
Yes, twice actually.
Not just once, twice.
I used to work in the Atlantic 10 at LaSalle University, and St. Bonaventure was a frequent stop. Not a whole lot going on there. Well, Duquesne's going to learn that the hard way tonight. So Bonaventure, the Bonnies are coming off of a tough loss, like a really bad loss, 68-50 against Dayton. They got absolutely smoked by the Flyers. Now Duquesne comes to Olean, and Duquesne is just dreadful, especially defensively. And also, they're not a great shooting team either. And their turnover numbers are better than probably you would think for a team that's a bad team. But I think they're going to struggle tonight. And I think Bonnie's off the loss laying 5 is a pretty decent bet. I see 5.5s in the market now. And that's kind of where I'd be comfortable playing it. So I'm going to play Bonnie's. Actually, I'm wrong. Bonnie's is actually on the road tonight. They're at Duquesne, but I don't think it's going to matter. So fortunately,
it don't matter.
Fortunately, Duquesne doesn't have to go to Ole in New York today, but I do think Bonnie's with their backcourt is going to play really well in this game. I love Kyle Lofton, one of the best unknown guards in the country, and they've got this other big man, Osunyi, who's been just an absolute monster this year. So I'll take Bonnie's on the road at Duquesne laying 5.5.
I like it. I really do. And honestly, Jared, I feel like we've been missing some action lately. Don't you think? Like,
give me some action on a Friday.
So guess what? We're talking a little Toledo taking on Ohio U, baby. That's I saw this game and I'm like, we need some action in our life. So this was a showdown for first place in the MAC last season. Last year was supposed to be the year for the Toledo Rockets, right? They haven't advanced to an NCAA tournament since 1980. They went into the MAC tournament as the #1 seed, where their hopes and dreams got crushed by none other than Ohio U. That's all I got to say. This is a little bad taste on their tongue that they've been sitting on since last season. Both teams are on a roll right now. Toledo's ranked 87th, Ohio ranked 88th, according to Ken Pom. And the Rockets, they have a little bit of that revenge factor, I think. Toledo handled the Bobcats well last season. During the regular season, MAC tourney, when it mattered, and that's all that matters is when it matters, right? They weren't able to get things done. They play again on February 8th, and it's also possible they play again in the MAC tournament this year. But Toledo definitely wants to win this game. I don't think it's going to happen though. Even though the Rockets are 7-0 at home, they're 3-0 at neutral sites. They're only a 500 team on the road. Ohio is 9-0 at home. I think they're going to take advantage of the home crowd. And I kind of like them laying the points in this spot, -4.5. Ohio U. I'm taking them. I don't think Toledo's going to win this one.
Good line movement in your favor. It opened 2, now it's 4.5. So there's somebody smart besides you that's betting on.
Well, thanks. Someone smart besides me. Appreciate that.
Besides you. You're smart, and the other person who bet this somewhere out in the desert is also smart. And they
Sharp's coming out of left field. I know there was a couple NBA games you wanted to touch on too, right? Who you got?
Yeah, so you know how I am with the NBA. I'm not there yet. I'm still in the larva stage of my NBA bet.
First of all, the word larva. Ugh. Like it's just
like that word.
No.
That's how I feel about the NBA right now in terms of betting it. I will call your attention to 2 games. First of all, the Bucks and the Bulls. Bucks at home tonight. The Bulls are going through some really rough, sticky wickets with their rotation right now. I know the Levine injury, out with a knee. We got Lonzo Ball, Javonte Green, Patrick Williams. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Guess what, though? Alex Caruso is back, baby.
Thank goodness. That's the answer right there. We saw this line move off of 8.5 from the open. It's now 10.5. Full disclosure, transparency. I am not betting the NBA right now. I'm not there yet. We'll get there. I'm not personally there yet. Other people are, and I respect that. But personally, I'm not there yet. But if I were to make an NBA bet tonight, I would consider the Bucks in a blowout potential at home against the Bulls. The other game that caught my eye was this Nets Spurs game. Actually, the line movement a little interesting there because it is Texas. Kyrie Irving should be able to play, right? You know, the rules a little more lax there in Texas with the COVID situation. I expect Kyrie to be on the floor tonight. No Kevin Durant, obviously. That's the big injury for Brooklyn. And we did see this line move a little bit towards San Antonio, which I think is surprising. From +2 now, I'm seeing +1s, a few +1.5s out there. That is interesting because I expect on nights where Kyrie plays, I expect Brooklyn to get the better end of the market movement. But that right now at this early morning stage, 10 a.m., this is an 9 o'clock Eastern tip. What time is it? 8:30. Yeah. Right now, it's San Antonio getting some movement. So I keep an eye on that. I'd be willing to play the Nets. I don't really think too highly of the Spurs this season. They're 9 games under 500. And I think all things being equal, even without Kevin Durant, if it's Kyrie and James Harden, I think the Nets should be able to win this game tonight. So that's another one I would keep an eye on later tonight in the NBA.
I like it. I really do. There's a good slate going on in the NBA tonight. Yeah. Good slate in college basketball. What we're all really looking forward to is tomorrow, the divisional matchups, right? So heading into this weekend, Jared, before we bring in Teddy Greenstein, I just want to ask, like, when you're looking at these games, because obviously these teams are the best in the league now. We're down to 8, right? So
Elite 8.
When you're betting these games, how do you kind of approach it? Because it's like the spreads are a little bit tighter. Now teams are starting to get a little banged up. They're dealing with a little injuries. You have the 2 teams that had a bye last week, right? So it's like there's just so many different ways to approach it. Like, how do you, if you're talking to, someone that's kind of, trying to get the edge on how they want to approach the games?
Yeah, I think you treat it like any other week. The lines are spot on. You're not going to find a lot of edge in the market. The people that, think they're going to beat the market and find this great number out there before the books, it's not going to happen. The books are smarter than you most nights. They're quicker than you. They have better data than you. And the numbers at this stage, this is week 20. This is week 20 of the NFL. I had to get my little, usually this is week 19, but we get an extra week this year. So this is week 20. And they have 20 weeks of data on these teams. And we don't, for the most part. We are just a human brain. They have computer brains. So unless you have some kind of advanced algorithm where you can maybe get a half point or a point edge on a total, or maybe you beat the market to a key number like that Titans line. If you beat it at 2.5, you got the 2.5, then it moved to 3. Now it's 3.5. Unless you're ahead at this stage, though, on a Friday, you're not. The lines are settled, and you're just betting which teams you think you're going to win. Bet your heart. The trends and the historical things don't matter as much. The matchups matter a little bit more. The injuries matter a whole lot. And I think the numbers are where they are. They're sharp. They're spot on. Just bet who you think's going to win the game.
Speaking of sports books and smart brains, let's bring in Teddy Greenstein, senior editor from PointsBet. Did you guys like that transition? Like, come on.
No, Teddy
Give
likes it.
myself a little pat on the back for that one. Teddy, how the heck are you? Happy Friday.
What's going on, guys? Lauren, Jared, you made me a little money last night. There were some strange moments in our house where I'm talking into my phone and saying, Siri, what's the score in the South Alabama basketball game?
Yes, South Alabama, baby. Jaguars.
My kids are looking at me weird. What's the score in the Georgia State basketball game? They're like,
Oh, that one didn't go our way.
That probably has a serious problem.
Yeah. That
Oh
one
my God.
South Al, though. Hey, I love those Sun Belt teams, Teddy. I think those Sun Belt teams are really fun to cap. I like the Sun Belt and the OVC. Those are two of my favorite conferences in the mid-major.
Yeah, I mean, I figure that if you are giving out picks on obscure conferences like that you have done your research. I like that Indiana also hit, but mainly I just joined you guys so I can get Lauren's NFL picks, straight from her lips because she made a lot of people a lot of money last weekend. I know
Oh
that.
my gosh, it's been crazy. I was like, I hope a cold streak doesn't come anytime soon. Keep the heat coming, guys.
Exactly.
Can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen. Okay. That's all I gotta say about that. Teddy, we're looking forward to the divisional matchups this week. I just want to start this off with what game has PointsBet has PointsBet really seen the most handle on so far?
Yeah, Lauren, just looked this up, and number one for us is San Fran at Greensboro.
Wow.
I think people are just so fired up to watch a cold weather game at Lambeau Field. I'm actually a little surprised. Like, we're still seeing massive amounts of money on the Packers. So even at that line, even at a good, healthy 5.5, 6 points, people are feeling good about Aaron Rodgers, even though the 49ers are obviously scintillating. Next on the liabilities list is the Rams and the Bucks. Third is Bills Chiefs. I would have expected
Third.
that.
Yeah,
I was expecting that to be number one,
100%.
hands down.
Yeah.
I think it will because it's the last game. I think that will end up being the number one handle game of the week after it's all said and done.
Great. And I think people will end up pouring in on that over probably at the last minute. If they see it's a good weather report, I think people are going to be saying, all right, I just want to see a lot of visits to the end zone and then finally Bengals Titans. But it's not a huge spread. It's not like the high liability games are here and Bengals Titans are here. It's pretty tight.
That is
What's your most exciting angle this weekend? Like do you have a game that you're like, all right, this is the one that I expect to be the craziest, the most absurd, the game that everyone's going to be talking about on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing some shows with the NBC Sports Edge guys, and those guys are all about the over in Bills Chiefs. And they've been using the stat of when in the divisional playoffs, when a total is 54 points or higher, the over has hit 8 of 9 times. And by a lot, the average total has been 60. So I'm joining them for that one. I'm going under in the Bengals Titans game. Jared, I'm planning to tail you on the Rams. You made a convincing argument, but I still have to hear from Lauren.
I'm also tailing Jared on the Rams too.
I don't know about Lauren's picks, so I hope you'll share some.
I know. I got the Bills back when it was plus 2.5 earlier in the week, and so I feel pretty good about that one. And I also bet the Packers at minus 4.5 a little bit earlier in the week too. I think
Lauren sharp. Get ahead of these numbers.
Guys, Mondays and Tuesdays.
When was that?
Right at the open, Teddy. It opened FanDuel at 4.5, and then they moved it. They were the only book that really were that low on Green Bay.
Yeah.
Everyone else opened higher.
Yeah. So I locked those in early in the week and on Monday, late Monday, early Tuesday-ish. So those are the games that I'm on right now. I'm tailing Jared's pick. I like the Rams and the points. And I'm still kind of deciding. I want to ask about Derrick Henry. If he's good to go for Saturday, how much of an impact do you think that will have on the Titans line?
So very little, and that surprised me.
Really?
I asked our traders, I said, okay, it was sort of midweek that they got that good injury report, right? That he was taking contact in practice. That was on Wednesday, I believe. So I said, oh, this is surprising that this line hasn't firmed up to, 4, something like that, maybe even 4.5. And they said a couple things. One, the line already assumed that Derrick Henry was going to play. So at 3.5, that's with Henry. And 2, it's just still a statement about the importance of running backs. And I would contrast that with the importance of quarterbacks. If Jimmy Garoppolo, if there's some late setback and it turns out he can't play with a shoulder or finger or whatever it is, that line really would surge. That line would go to as high as 9.5 points.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nearly 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
So
I heard 10.
Jimmy G as a quarterback is just worth so much more than Nick Bosa is. Nick Bosa is worth a point. Derrick Henry is not worth that much. Obviously, the Titans won a bunch without him, and people feel like they could win without him again if need be.
Yeah, I had a great little exchange with one of your analysts, Michael Korn, yesterday, and he was exchanging his thoughts on just how undervalued the Titans are historically as a 1 seed. Like, it's really hard to fathom because usually the 1 seeds are held in such high regard because of the quarterback play. It's usually the Chiefs or it's Aaron Rodgers. But in this particular case, Jack, we love Mike Korn. I like Mike too. He's given me some really good info this year. I appreciate Mike. But I think when you look at overall, when you look at the Titans in the futures market, when you look at the Titans just on the spread this week, they're not the sexiest pick. Right. But I think they offer a little bit of toughness and just versatility, because if the running game is, even if Derrick Henry doesn't get 30 carries, which he's not, he's probably going to get 10 to 15. Just his presence alone opens things up, I think, for Ryan Tannehill. And that's where I think the Titans are a little undervalued, because the box scores and the advanced metrics don't show how Derrick Henry's presence changes the dynamic of how you defend the Titans offense.
Yeah. And I mean, if his foot is good, he's got the breakaway speed. So if he does, bust through the linebackers, he can run for 50 or 60. All hail Mike Korn. I certainly agree with you on that. And look, the Titans are my pick in eliminator pool. So I had the Bengals last week, survived.
They were the sexy pick last week. We were talking about it. They were the sexy pick, and honestly, we saw how they played last week, and they were just a little bit inconsistent, right? And so it's coming into this week, it's kind of like, I don't know. I like the Bengals though. I kind of want to see them win, because I don't know what it is about the Titans. I just don't have a soft spot in my heart for
them. They're not sexy.
They're not a soft spot in your heart.
Yeah. I need to feel my bets a little bit too. You know what I mean? Because if you lose, you want them to hurt. If you win, you want them to feel good. You got to feel them a little bit.
Bring some passion to the game. Yes. I've not heard of this betting strategy.
It's worked for me. I don't know.
You bet your ass.
Keep doing it.
She's our play of the day standings, Teddy. She's making us smart, sharp cappers look like a bunch of dunces.
I mean, I've not been paying close attention to your hockey picks this week. I mean, I think I'm 3-0 when I bet your hockey picks.
It last night.
On me. Have you stayed en fuego in there?
I'm evening out a little bit more, but I'm still up.
Yeah, as she wins the Panthers in regulation bet, and it was 9-0 after the first period.
Yeah, literally, Alex Glaze texted me. I'm gonna read this to you. He texted me last night at 9:02 p.m. He goes, "I'm done with the Panthers," with the crying, laughing emoji. I said, "Haha, done."
Alex
has 9:57 p.m. 57 minutes later, I take it back. My Panthers, never doubted my Ice Cats.
See, that's the beauty of gambling.
Roller coaster when he
won. It is.
He's hilarious.
And it's hard to honestly. And I had a win in soccer the other day. We'll get to some soccer picks a little later. I know there's some people that want the kick picks in the chat.
Yeah,
but it's hard. I think sometimes, Teddy, it's harder to manage the highs than it is the lows. Because when you have these highs, it's like you're euphoric. I can never lose again. Every pick is win.
That's how I feel about the NFL right now. I can't be wrong.
Your back's against the wall, and it's like everyone understands that mentality. Yeah. Grind back. I'm going to come back. But the winning mentality, it's hard to be even keel. I think that's the hard thing about it.
I do definitely know this. Right, it's hard to ever be satisfied, because when you lose, you're pissed. And then when you win, you're like, why didn't I bet more?
Yeah, that's always.
Teddy, that's literally exactly how I felt about week 19, Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Colts. I was so sure about my Jags 15.5 pick. And I was so pissed at myself for not just putting a ton of money down on the money line. But I'm like,
I feel responsible for that.
Put money down in the money line? No.
She texted me, "Hey, how about the Jags?" And I was like, "Why didn't you bet the money line?" I think I put you on
so mad at you.
I put you on tilt.
Teddy, I want to ask, what team are traders most worried about winning now heading into this weekend?
By far the Packers. So, and it's twofold, Lauren. I mean, one is the game against the 49ers where, we've got 78% of the cash on the Packers. But that is our biggest Super Bowl liability by far. We'd be thrilled if the Titans go on an incredible run and win the Super Bowl, because they're middle of the pack in terms of
Rams too, right? I heard the Rams weren't a bad liability for you guys either, or just in general.
The only one that would sting would be the Packers, I'd say.
Yeah.
One of Jared's favorite things to do is the look-ahead lines. And so we want to play a little game with him. I have the picture on my phone of the look-ahead lines for next week. So I'll let you guys talk this out. Jared wanted to guess before you actually tell him what they are and explain why.
So it's just the favorites, right? It's just the favorites.
So yeah, we posted, and these are bettable. We've posted two. So the first one is Chiefs at Titans.
So here's the thing that I got tripped up about when we were talking about this in the pre-show meeting. I assumed just because it's the Chiefs that they were the home team, but they're not. It's going to be the Titans that will be the home team, which changes things dramatically. So the Titans opening line against the Bengals was super low too. It was like 2.5, and they were at home. I think the Chiefs are going to be favored, and I think the Chiefs are going to be favored by, I want to say 3, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was 3.5.
3 points.
Jared, what?
Ding, 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 ding.
Let's go.
We'll give them that one.
1 for 1.
I guarantee you the Chiefs get bet up to 3.5 if they beat the Bills. Because if the Bills, who are the sexy team this week, get beat by the Chiefs, that line will get bet to 3.5. All right. So the other one is what? Packers.
Yeah. All right. So you've won the first game, and you're going to pull all that into this second pick.
Roll over, baby.
Parlay it, see if you can get it right. We have the Bucks in Green Bay on the potentially frozen tundra.
See, the problem with this look-ahead line is if the Bucks beat the Rams, there's going to be a lot of buzz for Tom Brady, to be, they're going to repeat. Sure. So but the Packers are super public too. I want to say Packers minus 2.5.
It's respectable. Packers minus 1.5.
Yeah, 1.
All right, but under 3, and that's because I think if the Bucks win, they're gonna get a lot of wow, Tom Brady, because this matchup for the Bucks this week is not good, Teddy. It's And if they win this game somehow, Tom Brady pulls another rabbit out of his hat. There is going to be some major buzz on this Tampa team.
Well, can you imagine if we are all reliving a few days from now, going back to the 4th and goal from the 8? The worst field goal in NFL history last year in the NFC title game.
We kind of deserve that rematch, but I don't want to see it. I really want the Rams to win, obviously. Yeah.
I know he really likes the Rams in this spot.
I like the Rams this week.
Before we let you go, just final thoughts heading into this weekend, your expectations, maybe some surprises that we'll see. Final thoughts from you.
I'm just so excited for what should be a great weekend. In terms of anytime touchdowns, no surprising. Devontae Adams is number 1 on the list. Most people are betting him. Derrick Henry is second. He's at like minus 170. That's kind of hilarious.
Don't bet that, people. Do not bet
I wish some of these guys, it'd be fun if we could fade them. They should have non-touchdown odds. I think that would be helpful for some of these guys. But I'm just incredibly excited. I'm so curious about the 49ers because for me, my first instinct was to be like, take the points. That is such a hot team. If you're getting more than a field goal, it's a great road team. I love Deebo Samuel. Mm-hmm. But now, Lauren, in part because you like the Packers, and I just think this now smells more like a 7-point win. But
oh my God, I know.
Effect.
I was actually going to wait for a little while on the Bills game too, but I just really love the Buffalo Bills. Like, they're a sexy team to me.
They are. Everyone's on them this week. I wouldn't be shocked if that reached a pick 'em by Sunday. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. It's interesting though. I mean, we always see public money on Mahomes, but I think in the end, I'm going to throw down a little bit on that Bills money.
Yeah. Where is it kind of leaning right now in that game? Like, where's all the money coming in? It's the money on the Bills Chiefs game. Where's most money's
on the Chiefs. About 65% on the Chiefs, but it's reverse line movement, where more money on the Chiefs, but the line trends toward the Bills. Clearly, some sharp money is on Buffalo, and our traders expect more to come in late. So that's why that line is behaving like it is.
Yeah.
If it gets down to a pick 'em, I'm hammering the Chiefs. Hammering the Chiefs. If it's like minus 110 on the money line at any point this week, that's where I'll step in on KC.
That's your spot. Also, the Hustle Name a Bet. What is this, Teddy? Tell me about it.
So the Hustle is the name of our new newsletter that I edit and put out. So we put out an edition yesterday. So I always try to put a fun boost. Last week it was, will every team have a made field goal?
How did that end up going?
It did not hit.
Which team didn't? The Rams, right?
The Bills didn't, right? I think.
Yeah. Did the Bills score a touchdown on their first 7 drives?
Yeah, I think it was all touchdowns.
Yeah, that's right. The Bills didn't kick a field goal.
Yeah, they had no need for a field goal, so I gave up after that.
7 straight touchdowns.
They had a 100% success rate.
Yeah.
They will not play better this week, I promise.
This week, I'm keeping it basic. I think this is going to be a very popular one because it's all 4 home teams just to win, and it has been boosted to plus 650. So you get the favorites, you get the home teams, and you get almost 7-1 on that.
I like
31-9 straight up. Home teams the last, I think, 10 years.
Yeah, home teams in this round obviously have an incredible record. Titans can get you started. Then obviously the Pack look good, and then you probably have to sweat out those Sunday games. But I think the odds on this are pretty sweet.
Nice.
Teddy, thanks so much for taking the time to come on with us. Best of luck this weekend with your NFL bets. Make sure, guys, to check out his boosted odds at PointsBet. Senior editor from PointsBet, Teddy Greenstein. Have a great weekend.
Loved it. Bye, Lauren. Bye, Jared.
Bye.
Great stuff, bud.
All right, from Teddy, we're taking it to Ross Tucker. Let's bring him in. Pickswise on Ross. Happy Friday. We're feeling good. We're feeling frisky. We got football tomorrow. How pumped are you?
I am so pumped for so many reasons. Number one, my wife and I went to the melting pot last night. You guys ever been to one of those? I've never been to one of those.
Fondue.
It was delicious.
You're a fondue guy through and through.
Dude, so to have like a date night, which never happens, and then good food and drink, that was awesome. And then tomorrow morning, I'll go skiing with my daughters in the morning and then fly to Tampa in the afternoon because I'm in the booth for Bucks Rams. So not a bad weekend.
Look at you.
Oh my God. You're living the dream right now, my man.
I'm trying. I think I was talking about this morning, actually, on my show, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast with Paulie Pabst from the Dan Patrick Show. Do you guys think this is the best football weekend of the year?
I just said that.
I
said that. Totally agree.
I was trying. I thought it would be last weekend. 2 games Saturday, 3 Sunday, Monday night. Yep. I was so fired up for it. For there to be 4 blowouts, it took the wind out of my sails. I'm like hoping and praying and thinking we're going to get 4 really good games, which means I think we should get at least 3.
I'm really, which means 75% of the time it works every time. We're hoping so. I know that you want to take it up to the frozen tundra, right? Because you got the California boys coming in to play in like minus 1,000-degree temperatures, which is going to be so freaking cold. You're leaning towards Green Bay in this spot, yeah?
You know what? I've gone back and forth a lot this week. And I eventually, I'm going to lay the points with the Packers. I got to be honest with you. This is a rough week. I mean, there's usually, obviously there's less games, but there's usually a lot of games I feel pretty good about. There's a bunch of them this week that I've kind of been torn back and forth. A lot of no plays, a lot of wimping out by me, being like, I just can't do it. Earlier in the week, I was thinking Niners. But then I just thought, man, the amount of energy they had to expend to beat the Rams in week 18 to make the playoffs. And then last week's game against the Cowboys and Garoppolo making the mistake late. And if you look at the splits from his performance in the first half before he injured his shoulder, and then the second half, he was much worse in the second half of that game. It looks like they'll get Warner and Bosa back, but Warner I don't think will be 100%. Now, the flip side is they obviously have a good feel for the Packers. It feels like Shanahan has LaFleur's number. I was on the sideline for that conference championship game a couple of years ago when Raheem Mostert went nuts on the Packers. So, if you wanted me to, I could make the case for the Niners. Ultimately, I think they're going to run out of steam Saturday night. And I just can't imagine the Packers losing this game. I mean, can you imagine the fallout?
No.
If they lose this game, Aaron Rodgers is gone. No chance he is staying. This is a gigantic game for the Packers. I think ultimately, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Niners get the lead early. I think ultimately, second half, they just run out of juice. Short week for them. Packers well rested. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers probably pull away, win by 7-10 in the second half.
How much do you think weather is a factor in a spot like this too?
Well, I think it is, except it almost feels like the Niners style is more conducive to the weather than the Packers style is. The Niners like to run the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
And Jimmy played, 3 years in New England. So he's familiar with practicing. I know in New England, when it's cold, you practice outside. I mean, because Belichick, I was there. So Belichick wants you to be familiar with the conditions, and he'll have you practice outside. So Garoppolo's pretty used to that. And, the other guys, I think we make a little bit too much, like George Kittle's from Iowa. You know what I mean? Like, you check played at Harvard. Like, these guys are familiar with the weather. I think the style, I think the weather actually helps their style. Rodgers, obviously, very familiar with it as well. It's funny nowadays, somebody will, like, tweet me a stat. I don't even know if it's true, but I still, like, will use it. Some guy said that, like, the under has won in like the last 17 cold games at Lambeau, which is interesting because I kind of like the under last Saturday in the Bills and Patriots. Yeah. And then Josh Allen scored a touchdown every time they had the ball. And the Bills beat the total by themselves last week.
It actually is crazy. I want to ask you about your big boy boost on DraftKings. Tell me a little bit about it because I love it. I love this. I'm going to sprinkle this, definitely.
You know what's funny? I'm getting crushed for it.
Yeah, unfairly.
I'm getting killed for it. So here's the deal, okay? So this DraftKings, I'm a DraftKings guy. They let me do boosts for them. So a couple weeks ago, I did Georgia. So I think they took Georgia from whatever it was, minus.
They made him plus money. I bet it. I remember.
Yeah, they took Georgia from minus 120 to plus 100 because it was when Georgia went from -3 to -2.5. So they boosted up to minus 120. They took it to 100. Last week, I liked Deebo Samuel's over rushing yardage. They took that from minus 120 to 100. So I won both of them. And it's unbelievable, by the way. They tell me how many people do these things. It's unbelievable how many people do these things. So I think what happened here for the big – so I had told them for a couple weeks I wanted to do an O-line, D-line touchdown thing, right? Yes. So we were going to do it last week, but it was like too late in the week. So we switched for them to do everything they need to do to get it ready. So we did Deebo Samuel instead, which is cool because Deebo went over easily. But not cool because there were 2 O-line touchdowns. 2. Tommy Doyle for the Bills and Allegretti for the Chiefs. So that would have hit. It would have been amazing. Whatever. So we said, okay, let's do it this week. Well, here's what happened. Number one, I think DraftKings is a little wary of the Ross Tucker boost because I've killed them.
Everyone's betting it and you're winning the money.
Yes, I'm crushing them. And then number 2, I think I've gotten different tweets about this. I think FanDuel had the big man touchdown at like minus 2,000 or minus 17 or no, plus 2,000 and plus 1,700 last week. Okay. So everybody's hit me up being like plus 1,000. That stinks. That's no good. FanDuel had this last week. Yeah. Guess what? FanDuel got annihilated by it. That FanDuel got destroyed.
They moved the number.
So DraftKings is like, we're not doing that. So they took it. It was going to be, they say it was going to be plus 800. And they say because of me, they're getting up to plus 1,000. By the way, it's a $25 max bet. It's kind of like a fun, hopefully a big guy scores a touchdown here.
Big boy TD. Give it to us.
My favorite thing is all the people complaining about it. It's like people that complain about Thursday Night Football. Like, just don't watch.
They always complain about something.
You don't have to bet it.
If you don't want to do the boost, the O-line, the big boy boost at DraftKings, then don't do it.
People are professionally offended, Ross. I think that is the number probably on par with what the actual true implied odds of what a lineman to score? No. But why are the books going to give you a fair number on that? Like, and they're capping it at $25 for a reason, because if it hits, you're winning $250. Like, people are just enjoy, have a little enjoyment this weekend. Yeah. Not every bet we make. And I gave out that ridiculous 13-point teaser on the Playbook show earlier this week. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's a good bet. That's a fun bet. You get one little piece of action on all 4 games. You move the line crazy in your favor.
The point of betting is to have fun this week. The point of betting is to have fun. Yeah.
People just like to complain.
all the time.
That's all there is.
Especially on
People
Twitter.
just like to complain.
All the time.
Especially on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Especially on Twitter.
No, honestly, like sometimes people tweet things and I'm just like, okay, I appreciate
Twitter's
it.
not a
Like,
happy
go get
place.
it. Take your $25 and go buy yourself 2 burritos from Chipotle. Okay?
Sounds pretty good, actually. I think I, might
right?
do that after the
By
show.
the way, can I tell you guys something?
Yes.
I first heard about Chipotle when I was playing for the Cowboys in either 2002 or 2003. And this is when I was an offensive lineman, 315 pounds,
Stuffing
whatever. I swear to you guys, I would get 2 burritos and crush them both. Like now,
to finish one.
Now that sounds insane. But I would get 2 burritos from Chipotle and just crush both of them. Think about that. They're like as big as your head.
They're bricks.
Did you take time in between the two, like just like a second to breathe?
No, I didn't. So I was growing so fast, by the way, when I was in high school. So no joke, I was 6 foot 170, 6'3", 210,
Wow.
6'5", 250. Then I was just like, I used to go to Subway. Okay, I would get 2 foot longs, BMTs, biggest, meatiest, tastiest. I would get double meat and add bacon, and I would crush 2 foot long subs.
Your
2
arteries
foot-long subs.
must be in bad shape.
You know, back then they would have like the punch card thing. I would fill out the punch card in a week. I set the record for punch cards at Subway restaurants in a year. And I don't get a sponsorship. Tom Brady, who wouldn't eat Subway in a million years, has a Subway deal. I have the evidence. I have the punch card holes from high school.
And now you're giving out COVID futures on a weekly basis. What a life you lead, Ross Tucker. Anyways, I think the best game of the weekend is going to be this Bills-Chiefs game, right? It's the last game of the week. That's kind of the varsity game in the AFC.
Yeah.
The JV is the Bengals-Titans. Take nothing away from the Titans and Bengals, but I can't pick a side here. I think at 2.5, Buffalo's the pick. I wouldn't be shocked if this gets back to a pick 'em. And I actually think this is a week where the books might need some Kansas City magic to be profitable, because I'm seeing a lot of trendy action on the Bills here. What do you think about this game? This is a tough game to pick.
Yeah, a few different things. Number one, I do think it's the game of the weekend. And I told you guys, I'm calling Rams Bucks in the booth. I probably could have made a flight back Sunday night. I was like, oh, hell no. No. I'm going back to my hotel. I am watching Bills Chiefs. 5 a.m. flight Monday morning. I am watching Bills Chiefs. Okay. So I agree with that. It's funny. I do a even money, in addition to Pickswise Playbook, I do a show called Even Money with Steve Fezzik, who's a long time, like legendary professional bettor.
He's great.
And he said this week, he thinks there's so much momentum for the Bills that by the time the game kicks, he predicted it would be a pick 'em.
I think so too.
And he even called it a bold prediction, and it was -1.5 at DraftKings. Now it's back up to -2, so he might end up being wrong. But he thinks that much money is going to come in on the Bills, which I was interesting. What I don't understand, I guess, Jared, and you're more the math guy, like if you like the Bills, I feel like I would just do the money line
100%.
at +105, then take the 2 points at -110.
Yeah.
These offenses are not field goal offenses. You know, these are touchdown offenses. So I think this line probably does. And I agree with Steve. Steve's great. I've been following Steve for years. He's as sharp as they come. So I wouldn't be shocked either, especially because of the time slot, Ross. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the last game of the week. Everyone's going to be tying their money line action to somebody in the late game, their parlay action. So I think this line actually will move considerably from Saturday night after the Packers game through Sunday morning as we get the morning handle on Sunday. And I just don't see how any defense stops the other one in this game.
Well,
right?
so that's interesting that you say that. Don't hate me for that. I kind of like the under.
Good luck.
Ooh.
I
You're
kind
going
of
to
like
be
the
sweating.
under. These are both top 5 defenses right
You're right.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills have the number one. Their safeties are awesome, which is what you need against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs defense, has played very, very well. The Chiefs defense is a totally different defense than when these two teams met in the regular season. I think it's like 27-24. I think this is going to be one of those games where everybody's expecting a shootout and it doesn't quite live up to it. So my favorite bet on Sunday would actually be the Chiefs Bills under.
Woo! You are not going to be comfortable for any part.
No, of course not. There could be 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I'm going to hate myself. And I think I'm going to be back on this show on Monday, so you guys can rip me on Monday.
All right.
But it's certainly
Jack
possible.
does a good job keeping the notes. We've got the records all updated. We're good to go.
Nothing a Chipotle burrito can't fix.
No,
you know what? Now that I'm a has-been and I'm trying to stay below 250. Now I get a burrito bowl.
Yeah, me too.
I go half. I put a lot of corn in there, a lot of lettuce. I go half carnitas, half barbacoa. They say double or half and half. I say no, not double, half and half. But
Smart.
I wink at the girl and I say as much meat as your boss will allow. So
don't you hate the Chipotle people that
I feel like I get if you like as much or you laugh about it, like they'll give you one more scoop. They're taught to go big with the tongs for one and then barely get any meat on the second tong pull. Yeah. I know how they're taught. So if you wink at them or if you ask nicely and laugh, they'll like chuckle. And there's not like they have cameras. So the second tong pull, they'll go strong for you if you ask that.
Now we're capping Chipotle meat preparers and servers. This show, I'll be honest, this is the gem, Jack. You save this show and you show it to the people at Spotlight.
If we're not sponsored by Chipotle, by the end of the show, producer Jack Harrison's fired. Okay?
Lifetime supply. Lifetime
marketing people on this.
At this point, we are in for it. We're here. Oh, Ross, appreciate it. Before we let you go, just final thoughts for the weekend, other bets that you have or some props that you're looking at before we say bye.
So we kind of talked about the other games. Now that it's 2.5, I could only lean Tampa. 3 or more, I think the Rams are the place to be. Here's the thing. If it's 2.5, that means it's going to be a close game. Yeah. I got a tough time taking Matthew Stafford over Tom Brady in a tough late playoff game. Look, he's got more to gain this weekend than anybody. It'd be amazing for Stafford if he did it, but I'll believe it when I see it. Tom Brady has as many playoff wins as the Dallas Cowboys franchise. As the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, if Tom Brady wins that game, he'll have as many as the Steelers and the Packers. Ever heard of them? They've kind of been around a while. They've won a lot of playoff games. He'll have 36 playoff wins. Stafford has 1. So it'll be 36 or 2. I'm going to go with the 36 guy in a close game.
I'm going to go with the guy that's in the best shape of his life.
That's my concern with my Rams pick, Ross. But I'm sticking to my matchup.
I also saw a funny thing a couple days ago about the Cowboys, and this is just like a random TikTok that I was watching, and it said everyone's getting into Yellowstone, but who needs Yellowstone when you can just watch? They said if you want to just watch Cowboys get beat up, watch the NFL. I thought that was a good line.
I like that.
So we'll end on that note, Ross. Looking forward to having you back on Monday. We'll see how your picks go, and looking forward to getting some Chipotle as well.
Absolutely. Gosh, now I was going to have salmon and like green beans for lunch. This is going to stink. Thank you guys for having me.
Ross, have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Oh, man.
I swear to God, if we don't have a Chipotle sponsorship by the end of this show today, we're doing something wrong.
Handicapping the amount of meat scoops that go into your burrito bowl is the peak LBI handicap.
Oh,
doesn't get any better.
I know. Handicapping everything we can, Jared. Literally everything that we can. Let's head across the pond. Go over to the EPL. First of all, big shout out on your big SGP wins on Wednesday. Tell us a little bit more about it, please.
Yo, Tottenham reverted me back to like a child, like watching sports for the first time and just being in awe. So we needed Tottenham. So the over had already hit. We bet Tottenham money line paired with the over. The over had long hit. Leicester already scored 2 goals, so we were good there. Tottenham was down 2-1 in the 90th minute. Then it goes into stoppage time. There was 7 minutes of stoppage time. The first 4.5 minutes of stoppage time, I'm basically crying on my sofa. And then Tottenham scores. And I was like, ugh, they're going to really score a second goal, because Leicester's first goal was kind of and then they scored another one. And I thought 2 goals for Tottenham was going to get me the win. Mm-hmm. And they scored the second goal in the 95th minute, 5th minute of stoppage time.
That's crazy.
And I was kind of like sad about that, because I was like, then I'm going to be a draw 2-2, and I hate draws. But then Leicester like did this fluky thing on the kickoff, and they kicked it literally right to the Tottenham defender, who hit this like missile like pass that went perfectly in stride to the Tottenham offensive player. I forget who. And he did this little maneuver around the keeper and scored. And they won 3-2 in the 97th minute. It was insane. We also had to score and an over 2.5 in the Man United game against Brentford. Brentford got a late goal to hit us that bet as well. So it was a 2-0 day, both SGPs, both ploppy, plus 180 and plus 130.
Yep.
This weekend's picks will not top that. I'm confident of that. I'm very confident of that.
But we can try. But we can try.
Anyway.
So let's talk about it. Who you got this weekend?
Rapid fire, because I know we're running short on time.
Okay.
Everton, these are all Saturday, by the way. I'm not playing today's match. Everton, Villa, both teams to score over 2.5. Leeds on the money line. Wolves money line parlayed with under 3.5. That one's plus 200. Very juicy.
I like that.
Man United, West Ham, both teams to score over 2.5 parlay. So we've got 3 same game parlays and 1 straight up money line. I will have plays for Sunday. I'm not there yet. I'll get there. I'll tweet them out on Saturday night, probably Saturday night, Sunday morning-ish. But I've got 4 plays for tomorrow. The action starts at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, bright and early. Grab your coffee, wake it up, bagel, coffee, schmear, bacon, eggs, whatever your fancy is on Saturday morning.
Get the schmear.
Get that schmear on the bagel. Double schmear for Ross Tucker, right?
Oh, love it. All right. Pickswise.com, 3-star play of the day. Hit me with it.
Blues. The Blues on the 3-way money line. So they're facing the Kraken tonight. And the Kraken actually have been kind of crackling lately. They beat the Blackhawks the other night. I was on Chicago. They beat the Sharks last night. I was close to betting San Jose. Thankfully, I did not get there. I didn't bet any hockey last night, actually, for the first time in a while.
Wow.
But I do think tonight the Blues are playing really well. And I think the Kraken are going to run out of some steam. And I think the second game of a back-to-back with the Blues coming into Seattle tonight, it's going to be a backup goalie for Seattle. I know Grubauer played last night. Actually played pretty well. His numbers have been better late, even though they were really bad early in the year. But I think the Blues on the 3-way. I got it at plus 100. So we'll take St. Louis tonight at Seattle.
I am also taking it to the ice. The Rangers, Jack, our producer, will like this pick today. Rangers taking on the Hurricanes in Raleigh, North Carolina. I like the Rangers money line actually in this spot at plus 140. It's number 1 and number 2 teams in the Metro. The Rangers have won 3 straight. Their most recent game against the Leafs. Shesterkin is 18-4-2 on the season. He's been phenomenal. 2.03 goals against average, 93.8 save percentage. Hurricanes, 2 wins in a row, though, for them. And Anderson has also been phenomenal this season. I think he's like 20-6 with a little bit under. I think it's 1.99 goals against average, 93% save percentage. The Rangers, though, they've been thriving under Gerard Gallant. 3rd in the league right now. They give it the 2nd lowest quality of goals per game, or quantity over quality. 2nd lowest quantity of goals per game. And they have a 5-game regular season win streak against the Canes. It might seem opportunistic going into Carolina, beating them up on their home ice because Carolina is 12-4-1 at home this season. I think it's a good spot for the Rangers here. They've been really good against the Metro, and the Canes have only won W-O-N, O-N-E, of the last 5 games. Oh my God. Only one of the last 5 games against teams with a winning percentage above 600. So they struggle with teams that are good this season. And they've struggled against the Metro this season. And so I think the Rangers are coming in. They're in a good spot. They're going to be able to take advantage of the Canes. So Rangers money line at plus 140 heading into tonight.
You faded the Rangers the other night, too.
I know I did. And
yeah. And
they were
Jack,
yeah.
the blue shirt gods smitten you. I'll give
He
you
said
two
she
other.
paid the price. I did pay the price. I lost that bet.
Pay the price.
So you know
Two
what?
other
Better going
plays
against them
tonight for
again.
me. I have two other plays tonight, by the way. But I didn't give out the 3-star play of the day. I apologize. You asked me for that, and I just selfishly went right to
No,
my.
you know what? You're excited about your Blues. It's okay.
I was so excited about the Blues Clues tonight.
I'm
Connor Grutenheis is laying the lumber with the Pens at the Jackets. Actually, kind of an interesting spot for the Pens tonight because I know they played last night. They beat the Senators. But they're at the Blue Jackets tonight. They're laying 180. Connor likes the favorite in that spot. I also think the Wild are going to play well against the Blackhawks. I was looking at some of the Blackhawks numbers, their high danger scoring chance numbers, which is like one of my favorite analytical metrics to examine in the NHL. Chicago's got some really bad games recently in terms of generating scoring chances, and the Wild have been feisty. So I'll take the Wild 3-way plus 110, and I'll also dabble with a money line parlay. Isles 3-way and Lightning money line, not 3-way, straight up money line. They're at Anaheim tonight. The Isles are at home against the Yotes. That money line parlay pays plus 134. Wow. And the Wild 3-way is plus 110. Blues 3-way plus 100. So some ploppy action tonight on the ice. And then Connor's got your chalk covered, minus 180 on the Blue Jackets. On the Penguins at the Blue Jackets tonight on the Pickswise site.
I like it. Well, that's it for us today, Jared. This is about an hour show. It's like the longest show we've ever done.
Jack's not probably happy right now.
Yeah, it's fine. That's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Jabbar. Best of luck tonight. Best of luck this weekend, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.